A giant reptilian Nephilim was seen living under the underground lodges of the monastic community of Mount Athos in northern Greece recently, and this is the witness's account. Here I have an image of the king of Athens, Erichthonius. As you can see, his top half is man, the bottom half is snake, and he was the king of Athens, and I'm going to tell you about him at the end of what the witness is recounting to us. An account of an Erichthonius Nephilim giant living underground in lodges of Mount Athos, which is a monastic community in northern Greece. This is an account of a person, only men are supposed to go there, no women are allowed on Mount Athos. There are 20 male monasteries, and men go there and stay there most 3 days at each monastery. But this is an account of someone who saw something of a giant Nephilim with, let me read it for you. Mount Athos, a mysterious place that keeps its secrets well hidden. Let's remember that I have here an image of the viper that you'll see it's half woman, the top half is woman, the bottom half is snake. And we see these type of Nephilim also in the Hindu archaeology as well, and mythology, but we have them in ancient Greece as well. And it looks like something like this, what this man saw. Now, a place where it's between indescribable spirituality and temporary materialistic everyday life, where prayers, privations, vigils meet holy scandals and unbridled wealth. Perhaps a mythical creature roams even today. Now let's remember that Greek mythology had these things. There was also the battle between the Titans and the demigods. Anyway, they were very strange beings. Now the reason for the article by the writer-researcher Mr. Litza in the magazine Third Eye, issued February 2002, issue 101, where he describes his trek to Mount Athos for a pilgrimage. In one paragraph of his article, he describes his descent into some underground passages of a monastery and his encounter with a gigantic humanoid creature. And this is the disputed text. This is what he says. Quote, "We had passed a crossed tunnel in hours and stood for a minute to discuss, in a low voice from instinct, whether we should continue or our downward course, and for how long, when we heard at a first intermediate sound, which seemed to approach from one side of the tunnel we had just passed towards our own corridor." Now let me remind you that these corridors in ancient areas were there before the time of Alexander the Great of 330 BC. There was also an architect that at one time wanted to carve this whole peninsula to make it look like Alexander the Great, but that never happened. But anyway, going back to this. Quote, "In a few seconds, the sound became more distinct, and moments later, completely clear. The loud whistling breath of a large animal and the sound of flabby flesh moving on the stone corridor. We automatically agreed with each other's eyes, as only two comrades in old fight can agree, and I fell face down on the floor of the corridor while Bill stood, sticking his back and his whole body to one of the two walls that flanked us, so at a quick, casual glance and in the dim light, the corridor could appear empty, with only a minimal cross-section. And then we saw it. It projected in full with long hair and beard, tall as his head almost touched the ceiling of the corridor, as wide as almost the tunnel, his chest rising and falling like a huge bellows. As he breathed deeply and rhythmically, he hurried past us only 8 to 10 meters away and continued on his way, becoming visible, while for a tenth of a second we managed to see the tails of snakes he had for legs, from the thighs down, crawling behind the huge body of this giant. Real or fantasy, the conclusion is yours. So it looks like the viper of ancient Greece, the viper, the enticing woman was like almost like a siren, enticing men to her, and she was half woman on top, half snake on the bottom. So this is something like what this thing was. A Nephilim type of humanoid. The top part was, he was huge, and the top part was a man, the bottom part was snake tails. Okay, he had, it says here, projected full with long hair and beard, as tall as his head almost touched the ceiling of the corridor, as wide as almost the tunnel, his chest rising, falling like huge bellows, as he breathed deeply and rhythmically. He hurried past us only 8 to 10 meters away and continued on his way. Becoming visible for a tenth of a second, we managed to see the tails of the snakes he had for legs from his thighs down, crawling behind the huge body of the giant. And I've translated this for you from a Greek article, and this was from his experience. It was published in February 2002. Now, this is the enticing, seductive viper. As you can see, this was a woman, half woman on top, and again half snake on the bottom. And she was a mythical creature, but who knows? I mean, this witness said that he could have seen Erichthonius, the king of Athens. Now, let me tell you about him. Erichthonius, the mythical king of Athens, was a mythical king of Athens who was born out of the earth and had a snake's tail. He was the son of Hephaestus and Gaia, the earth, and was given by his mother to Athena, who hid him in a basket. She took the basket to the 3 daughters of Cecrops, warning them not to open the basket because the girls were desperately curious. They went to have a little peek and were horrified to see the child intertwined with a snake. Athena then took Erichthonius to her temple and had him brought up there. Since then, the snake was holy to her, which Phidias observed when making the huge statue of the goddess on the Acropolis. On the shield of Athena was a snake. Erichthonius was often believed to be one, and the same with Erechtheus, or at least his father or grandfather. The history of Erichthonius is part of a set of many myths that aim to highlight the political superiority of Athens over the rest of Greece, urging that its first leaders were indigenous, that is, literally came from the earth itself. The aim was to prevail. The view of the founders of Athens did not migrate from other areas, so the city did not owe its greatness to other cities, but came from that area. In most versions of the myth, the goddess Athena visited Hephaestus in order to order an armor from him. He was left alone because Aphrodite had left him, so he tried to make her his own. Another version says that Poseidon, in his contest to claim the area of Athens from Athena, lost and decided to take revenge by encouraging Hephaestus to despoil Athena. Athena fought hard to maintain her chastity, with the result that from her contact with Ephesus, only a piece of her cloth from her dress fell to the ground. Fertilization was then done with the help of Gaia of the earth, and Erichthonius, this half man, half snake, was born from this violent union of the 2 gods, while his name suggests that he was a man of fabric and earth. So that's the story of Erichthonius, the mythical king of Athens, half man, half snake. And tell me what you think about this man envisioning or seeing what he claims was a Nephilim, huge type of a giant, which looked like Erichthonius in that the top half was man and the bottom half was snake. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.